And how do we feel about this? How do we feel about the AI? So I don't get it. I don't get how people can literally like reserve enough time and enough focus and have enough creativity to sit down and like literally produce a whole entire YouTube video, right? And I'm not talking about all the people that are well established. I'm talking about the people that are like lean up to getting it done in the first place, or even trying to get themselves a point to where they consider themselves established. Because for me personally, like I just forget. Like I have 4 videos, right, that I have recorded. I have one video that was like a big project where I had several people would send me pictures to like this little like cute idea that would have been super awesome, and I never got around to doing it. And literally I tell myself like I'm about to do the video today, and literally I'll be doing it, and the next thing you know I get distracted by something or I go in and do something else. And I hold myself accountable to it, but I'm like, at the end of the day, why am I still not doing it? You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of times people need like this sort of fixed answer, or this sort of like insight, or this sort of like enlightened comment that they need to receive or have, where it's like boom bada bing, like here I am, I'm doing it now. And I'm like, I just don't get that. Maybe it's the people in my life aren't able to inspire me. Maybe I'm not able to inspire myself enough to do this thing, or maybe this thing is not meant for me. But yet here I am making a video on it. And so I had to sit down and really think and analyze, Adam, like, why aren't you just like on YouTube getting this shit done? You are talented in cooking, okay? You are sociable, you're funny, you like to talk about a vast variety of things. So why aren't you giving that out there to the world? Because I trust myself enough to be somebody who is, in terms of, you can, like, I can trust myself and other people can trust me to be somebody to give them insight on really anything. And I'm not trying to like toot my own horn and be conceited, but that's because like I choose to be that person, and I attempt and I try to be that person. I never shut myself off from conversation. I don't shut myself off to those things. So it's kind of gotten me to the point to where maybe I'm just at the point to where I'm just irritated with myself and not wanting to be more than what I could be in my current state. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like I feel like I'm doing nothing. And a lot of times it's nice because like my mom and like some of my close friends, like they remind me like, Adam, you've been doing a lot, like you've been trying to lose weight, blah 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 blah. And but it's like sometimes it just doesn't feel like enough. And I feel like because creatively, I feel like the creative aspects of myself are not here, they're not being displayed anywhere, you know what I mean? And for me, I think I realized that if I'm not having fun, if I'm not creating something, I am not being my full self. But the thing is about me is I have so many different selves or selves or whatever the word is, that I can be so easily and content with being so many other atoms to so many different people at certain different times, because they are me. I just have so many aspects that I forget to put my creative side here or onto some sort of platform. So with that realization, I just had to hold myself accountable. And here are some of those things that I'm holding myself accountable for. When it comes down to me and wanting to lose weight, this has been a huge, long fucking process of trial and error, searching and trying and failing and being miserable, even sometimes even crying. Never to the point where like I've had a depressive state about it, but growing up, I was able to eat whatever I wanted. You know, nobody really told me you can eat something or you can, you know, sometimes it was like, oh, you can't eat this late or you shouldn't eat that. But for the most part, nobody, like food was accessible to me and my family. I had both my grandmothers live with me growing up. So I've always had pho, spring rolls, everything that I wanted was there and I could eat as much as I wanted. And people would just give me food. And the thing is, as a kid, it was an issue because I always had friends and I was always so active to where it never like inhibited my body. Like I never was like, oh, I never developed like diabetes. I always was obese, but like I could do like the duck walk. I could run a mile and I'd be fine. You know what I mean? It's just I just had fat on my body. So then in that I had to like research, how do I become healthier? What do I do? Do I just exercise? What if I don't want to exercise? You know, it's like, and anybody who knows anything about losing weight is you have to be at a caloric deficit in order to lose weight. And a lot of times too, it's like, how do you do that when you've been like, you've conditioned yourself classically to like literally eat whatever the fuck you want. So then it becomes an issue of how do I eat the same things, but how do I make it healthier? And then what is healthier? And then it's like, fuck, you realize that it is so easy for people in America to become obese because of the way everything is laid out. Whether it's societal standards, whether it's how the food is even made, whether it's the psychological tools used in the media to get you to eat the sugary and sweet snacks. And then I'm like, fuck. Like, then I want to fix those things, and then I want to become involved. But then next thing I know is that I'm Adam Moore. I'm 17 years old when I started all this, and it's like, I can't fix all this right now, so I can't take on the burden of wanting to embrace so much negativity to a point to where I'm not losing weight. So with that being said, my advice and why I'm saying this is, when it comes down to losing weight, what I've learned what works best for me is being able to surrender yourself to forgiving yourself. Because a lot of the times when it comes down to losing weight, we hold ourselves to this really high standard of commit to this diet, commit to this thing, commit to this mindset, commit to this workout. And then when we fuck up and when we break away from that, or when we just simply tell ourselves that we're not going to wake up this morning because we're super tired, we beat the shit out of ourselves for it. And how is that going to make anything better? It doesn't. And I think the one thing that I learned through all those trial and errors is that, like, I've learned to tell myself it's okay for me to, like, fuck up. And I'm glad that I have people in my life that are like, hey, yeah, it is okay to, fuck up. But also everybody's holding me accountable and everybody's still trying. And I think that it's important to have a support group of friends, or even a person who allows you to have that sort of flexibility. You know what I mean? And find that one friend or anybody who can literally be like, hey, I'm gonna get up with you in the morning to go work out and, do those things. And I think the problem is, a lot of times we try to do these things, we try to do them alone as well, And I don't feel like it should be a lonely effort in attempt to making yourself better. I feel like sometimes you can have other people help you in doing that. And I think the world is a really hard place. And, sometimes it's not just about losing the weight. Sometimes it's also about losing the weight of burdens, the weight of stress, the weight of trauma that goes in your mind. And then now we're going to go on to part 2. Lots to talk about, and accountability. I'm holding myself accountable for losing weight, and I'm about to get that shit done. And if I mess up, I mess up. But just know that I'm never going to stop trying. So yeah, part 2, mentality. And it comes down to, what does it mean to have a good mental state? How do you develop a good mental state? In this world full of anxiety and depression, everything going on, you have the Black Lives Matter, you have Donald Trump, you have all these things going on in the world, coronavirus, you have all the civil discourse in China, all this stuff going on in the Middle East, and a lot of other things that I just don't know. And the one thing you don't tell yourself is, don't tell yourself you're ignorant, okay? In some aspects in the political climate, there are some things that people should research and some things that people should get to know, but stop holding everybody accountable to points where they should know everything, because that's not really possible. And I think we need to start telling ourselves what are the objectifying truths in which how humans operate, because we expect everybody to know every little bit of information. And when it comes down to any sort of topicality, if somebody doesn't know in a conversation, then what we do is we get angry, and then we literally shut anybody out from wanting to participate in any interpersonal conversation or communication, to the point to where nothing gets done. And I've gotten irritated with that, because personally, I have close friends that don't necessarily agree with me on some things too. And initially, everybody else's response to that is, oh, you should cut them off, or you should walk away from them. But I'm like, if that person was to die tomorrow, I would be pissed off at myself for doing that. And I think the dumbest thing we can do as people is expect people not to grow and not expect people to learn and understand. Because me, as myself, as my person, I've said and done some stupid shit. But the point is people didn't turn their head away from me, and I was able to be educated through them. But also I went and did educate myself, and I wish I knew people that would do that too more often. But it's taking on all this stuff that's going on in the world and trying to act like we're all these humanitarians that have this great power to fix everything. That part's good, but thinking that you have to absorb all this information on the constant daily with every social media you have is going to drain the fuck out of you, to the point to where you're actually not productive and you're actually not fixing anything. And I feel like that's something that needs to be said, and a lot of people don't realize that. It's like imagine if you go on a treadmill, right? And say the rate at which you actually operate on the best would be going at like a 5 or a 6 speed, right? But then unconsciously you're operating on a 10 speed, and you're literally draining yourself out. But instead of stepping off, or even having that cord that comes off if you trip, you're literally just keep on running. And eventually you run on empty, but you're still running. And then eventually when you do somehow get off the treadmill, you wonder why you're so tired and so exhausted. And at the end of the day, it's like you didn't achieve anything, because at one point your body and your mind just gave up. But yet you're thinking it in some sort of way, oh, I'm fixing things because I'm being part of the discussion, I'm being part of the conversation. But if you're so drained, if you're to the point to where you're not actually doing anything other than just sending a retweet, or you're just doing a repost, then it's like you need to sit back and realize what can you do to actually be effective. And sometimes that is a year or 2 years of educating. Sometimes it's a year or two of school to the point to where you're learning how to become a better messenger, or you're learning how to become a better teacher, or you're learning how to become more resourceful, or you're trying to become a part of a group or something to make you a stronger person when it comes to the issues in the world. Because it's like this shit is complicated as fuck, and a lot of us are 20 years old, 22, 19, whatever, younger than that, older than that, and we're trying to act like we could take on the world by participating in a discussion. And the thing is the media will stir so many things in so many different ways, whether you're liberal, conservative, Republican, or Democratic. There's never going to be a this one place you can trust to give out the perfect amount of information where everything is so blissfully true, and it's just not possible. And I think in absorbing that and then being mad at everybody to where you can't have good conversations, good relations with people, and then just drain yourself, that's not going to do anything for you. You know what I mean? So just be careful on how much you do that, because as human beings and on this earth, we do have to take on somewhat of that responsibility, making sure that we are participating, but just realize how much you can actually handle. You know what I mean? Because if you can do so much more later on by focusing on what you can do as a person yourself, other than just some retweets and sharing posts, then do that. You know what I mean? Take that step away to then come back to stomp, if that makes sense. You know, if you're doing little tiptoes as you're participating, but that's not going to do anything, you know, step back and come back and you can fucking stomp on the issue and, you know, be more of a powerful entity in that. So yeah, and another thing too that I've like noticed within myself is sleep. Okay, so I am holding myself accountable to getting more fucking sleep. I grew up hating sleep, right? And a lot of us talk about on social media how much we love sleep and stuff. But at the end of the day, we only love sleep so much because we are draining ourselves in so many ways that we don't get and we don't understand, and so many ways that we do get and do understand. And the mix of that just makes us fucking tired, because your body, okay, your brain burns a lot of calories. I don't know how much it burns, but it's literally doing every function in your body, whether it's reacting to this, reacting to that, or even thinking burns calories. I don't know how much, and that might sound crazy because I could be wrong, but I'm sure, you know, thinking burns quite a bit of calories, but also too, the effects of stress and all that kind of stuff on your body is another toll on yourself. And I feel like you can't just make stress go away like this. You can't make depressions go away like this, or anxiety, or any of that stuff. You can work on those things, and eventually they do sort of go away, depending on, you know, how much of an effect it has on you, you know. But for the most part, it's get that fucking sleep. Get that fucking sleep. Sleep does everything for your body, and we all know this, and we all people say it, so you're probably rolling your eyes at me now as I say that, but like I said, this is a video of me talking about accountability, and I'm holding myself accountable to get more sleep. Literally, 3 weeks ago, I was working out almost every single day for like 2 weeks straight, and I was working still and trying to figure out all this stuff with my school and all this kind of stuff, and that was taking a toll on my body because I wasn't getting good sleep. I would go to bed at like 3 o'clock and wake up at 7, and then go do 5 miles of jogging or running, and then doing, you know, circuits of squats and crunches and whatever. And then one day, like the next day, I was just drained. I had like no energy, and anybody who knows me knows that I am a fucking cesspool of energy. I am a fucking child. I am constantly energetic, ready for an argument. I'm ready for everything. Like, that's how I like to be. I am like a ball of sunshine, you know. But it got to the point to where literally I was getting like, I got like a sore throat. I had no energy. My body was aching, and my gums got inflamed. Literally, my teeth were like, the gums around them were like puffy as fuck, and I was getting blisters. And I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I got tested for COVID, came back negative. My doctor didn't know what was going on. So, and then it went away after I got better. But it was, and I had like a 104 degree temperature, 103 degree temperature. And I honestly, from what I have to say, and you guys probably won't believe me because you want to blame it on like, probably like I got a virus or cold of some sort, which I think I probably did, because my immune system was probably weak as shit for me not sleeping, not working out, not doing anything. I mean, from not sleeping and getting good rest. You know, the working out I was doing, but I'm saying like from not sleeping. And with that being said, like, I feel like if I would have rested my body, this wouldn't have happened. And I feel like it was just a telltale sign, like, my body will humble me and it will make me sick as fuck if it wants me to rest. Because I was really sleeping all the time, not eating anything. And then I lost 14 pounds. So, sleep. Holding myself accountable to get more sleep. Holding myself accountable to work out. Holding myself accountable to eat better, or at least watch the amount of calories I'm taking in. And the next thing I want to talk about and hold myself accountable is my, how would I put it? The time I give to myself. Because now I'm at a point to where I'm a full-time student at Fullerton, and I don't want to say I hate, I dislike the fact that I don't and this is all leading up to this video. Like I said, I'm now putting, holding the accountability nail to my chest and saying, like, you gotta hold yourself accountable, young man, get this shit done. But I'm smart, and I want to be smarter. And in terms of being smart, I also know I don't know fucking shit, but I know that I'm capable of learning. I'm capable of being taught, and I want that so bad. But if I have that accessibility to being at a university in which I'm happy to be a part of, if I'm not willing to sit down and take the time to learn, to research, to have that conversation with professors, then what am I going to get out of it? I can hang out with my friends as much as I want. I always have a friend I can hang out at any point in my life to do whatever I want with, and I love that. But I need to give that time to myself. Holding myself accountable to not go and do things that seem fun, and I need to hold myself accountable to be responsible so I can become the Adam that I want to be in the future, who is helping the world and fixing the world. And I'm not going to get that by just spending time with my friends. I'm going to get that through what I get out of college and out of that. Because the thing that's nice and the privilege of being able to go to school and affording it, even if you're getting a loan, just the privilege of being able to go to school is you get to like a treasure chest, and you get to open the treasure chest and see what's in there. It's going to be a bountiful amount of just gold and all this stuff, and those things manifest as knowledge, and you can only take what you can hold. You know what I mean? And if your hands are occupied with friends and drama and all this other stuff, then you can't grab anything out of the treasure chest. So I'm just trying to empty out my hands, empty out my pockets, so I can swoop in on that treasure chest and absorb all that knowledge and get what I can out of it, so I can be more effective in what I want to do when I come out of school, or even what I can do in school. You know what I mean? And the time I'm not going out doing things socially is more time I have to sit down on this camera and do this and interact with the outside world. So I'm holding myself accountable to giving myself time to be responsible, and giving myself time to literally just absorb and just to relax. You know what I mean? Sleeping's one thing, relaxing is another, And so yeah, I just wanted to create like little moments of like peace and contentment in my life. So instead of having just like a regular like water bottle to drink water out of, I bought a mason jar and did the typical, let me get a metal straw and some chia seeds and lemons and black tea, and it's a fucking bomb. But yeah, holding myself accountable to like paying attention to how much time I'm giving out to other people versus how much time I actually give to myself. And a lot of that also comes with, I know what I want to be in the future. I know a lot of people don't know that aspect of themselves, but for the ones of us that do, or we think we do, it's really important for us to really just give ourselves the time to like figure that out alone, and to work on the things we need to do alone, to then figure out how we're going to become that person someday, because that's really important. So yeah, that was number 3. Number 4, accountability in the conversations that I have. Because yes, that might tie in with like the social aspect, but I don't speak my full mind when I'm around people, and sometimes I let people have this sort of last say, or the last word, or have the last thought, and that's not something you can't always have control over. And sometimes it's a level of maturity and understanding what can you say and what should you not say, when is it a good time to walk away, when is it a good time to keep on going. But my thing so much is like, I hate walking away from a conversation regretting the fact that I didn't say the thing that I really should have, and saying a bunch of other things, you know what I mean? It's like, if you did have the last word, was it what you really should have said, or was it the thing that was just easier to say? And in the simplest ways, I am just at the point to where I am just going to give off everything that I want to say. And I'm not going to fabricate or sugarcoat nothing for nobody, but ultimately I'm going to do it in the way that gets to that person the most. I learned in my communications course that you operate best in life, in a sense, and I'm not going to word this exactly because I don't know the exact wording, but basically what we learned was, you operate best in life when the perception you have of yourself is also in line with the perception that people generally have about you as well. We're taught a lot in society to, sort of be a certain way, and it's common then how people would respect you, but then out of trying to break away from society, there's this ideology of don't care about what people think about you, what people say about you doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. And that is good, but we have to understand something with powerful quotes, is that powerful quotes pertain to certain individuals and not everybody in every sort of circumstance in every moment of their life. Okay, that quote is meant for people who are doing something that is actually beneficial to the world, and they're doing something great for the world, and then therefore they shouldn't listen to the outside noise. That's for them. For the people who are dramatic and who are just causing drama, for the people that are toxic to other people, for the people that don't get shit in life, for the people that are being horrible people, that quote's not meant for you. That quote is meant for you. That quote's not meant for you. Like, it's just not. And what we learned in my communications course or class, it was that sometimes what people think about you, sometimes what people are saying about you, you need to tune into that a little bit and sort of think, damn, am I maybe like that person? Am I damn maybe like doing that thing? Wow, was I actually that toxic? Because the thing is mentally we are aware of what we're aware of, and we attract what we want to be. We attract what we are comfortable with attracting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're into NASCAR, you're gonna want to absorb more NASCAR content or things like that. You want to ask yourself. You don't tell yourself, I consciously want people who think different than me to come into my life. Like, we don't do that. We want the comfort of having people who are just like us. You know what I mean? That's a problem, because for a lot of people are toxic as fuck. And I know somebody in particular who was getting mad, who said this person exposed somebody for talking shit, but now they're talking shit about me. But see, that person who's getting upset about that, they're somebody who deserves the shit that they get told. They're an asshole. They treat people like shit. So obviously people are going to communicate on that about you. So what you should have been doing with the information was thinking, damn, am I maybe a piece of shit, and what the person was saying was actually right? Or it's going to be like, this person's being a hypocrite and I'm not actually a bad person. It's like, you have to hold yourself accountable sometimes. Like me, I may talk a lot and think that I'm doing a lot of good for people when I try to give advice. But then if somebody goes and says, Adam, your advice actually isn't good, or Adam, you're too harsh, or Adam, you're too pushy, or Adam, you intrude too much on people's thoughts because you're analyzing them. You may be right, but you shouldn't necessarily go and tell them all that information right away, because it's not your business, or they're not ready, or they're not going to hear you. And I used to like disregard that and be like, well, you know, I know what's best for them. I know what's best for me. Like, and just do it. But then I had to think, like, damn, like, if this person's not even listening to the information I'm giving them, listening to it, and they're not actually critically thinking on it, then what's the point of it? And then for me, what does that say about me? I'm wasting time, or I'm just being an asshole for being too intrusive. And so, you know what I mean? You can't take that quote of don't listen to what people say about you and blah, 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 because that doesn't exist for us people who are trying to work on ourselves. We have to be open to what people think about us. You know what I mean? We also have to trust ourselves enough to be able to analyze and sort of cycle through the information and sift it out and say, okay, what are they saying that is true, and what are they saying that's not? And you have to be able to do that, critically think on that, and mentally do that. So I'm holding myself accountable, and I don't even remember what this one was. What was this one? I'm holding myself accountable in the conversations that I'm having, and making sure that they're actually being effective, and in a ways that it's actually like effective and not just how I think it is effective. You know what I mean? And in those moments, trying to definitely think about, am I doing the right thing, or am I not doing the right thing? No matter how hard it is for me to do the right thing, because in my head I might not want to do that thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like you guys are getting what I'm trying to say. But yeah, this is so good. But yeah, accountability is hard, because it's so much easier to like look at people in the world and have this, another thing we do too in society right now is we're doing a lot of this like cancel culture bullshit, and we're doing a lot of this sort of thing where we tell ourselves, this person did this one shady thing, I'm gonna cut them off. This person did this one thing, I'm gonna cut them off. Or you guys let everybody exist in your life on such fucking thin strands. And that's horrible, because you're never gonna be fully satisfied with anybody in this world, None of us ever will be. You know what I mean? My closest friend, we get into arguments about some of the dumbest shits to where we don't even talk to each other, and dumb things happen. And it's like, but at least we trust each other enough to like come back to it, and it's like, and that makes the friendship stronger. And a lot of people I've noticed are just literally cutting people off for the stupidest shit, and you're not willing to have that conversation with them, or sit down with them, or just be vulnerable. Like, everybody's so goddamn scared to be vulnerable. And people need to start like doing that, and not laying every little thing about somebody that may not be the right decision, or may not be the decision you made, be a reason to cut them off, because that's just not healthy. It's not good. You're never going to find good relationships that way. It's just not going to work out. The ability, as human beings, we're always curious. We're always going to be curious. We're always going to connect. We're always going to want to connect. The greatest tool we have in doing that is communication. So if you're bad at communicating, if you're bad at confrontation, if you're bad at explaining yourself, if you're bad at listening, part of communicating is listening as well. It's not just talking. work on those aspects, and then watch your relationships, you know, get better, and watch relationships grow. You know, a lot of times I've noticed people in society right now are canceling people or cutting people off, and a lot of times people are communicating not off of their conscious mind, but more off of their like subconscious, unconscious traumas, and they're incorporating that into their conversations to where they're not having an effective conversation. They're having this overwhelming, dramatic conversation to where they're on this high strung amount of energy, just yelling and getting upset and telling this person that they're all these things, and then the other person's kind of like, well, I'm not those things, and so you're saying I'm not going to listen to you, and then it's just nothing gets done. Okay, nothing gets done. So if nothing is getting done, then what's the point? Let's analyze how we're acting, what's going on when we conversate with people on these harder topics and harder subjects, and let's find ways to get better at it. You know what I mean? And a lot of what people do too is they look at the action, but they don't look at the intention. They look at the action, but they're not looking at the motive. You can't judge everybody off of the. You can't judge everybody's act. You can't judge everybody's same action and applying the same sort of intention and motive behind it if you don't know what it is. So you have to ask. You have to find out. You have to use the context clues to figure out what is the reason why somebody did something or said something, because it's not always going to be the same. And that's a problem with social media is we see somebody say one thing, we see somebody do one thing, and we assume that their reason was the same as the other person or whatever, and we react to it, and then we start bringing it out of, we start giving everything hundreds of retweets, thousands of retweets, and we just absorb this constant sort of a false reality of what's going on, and then we're left confused, we're left upset, and it's like, don't do that. You know what I mean? And yeah, so when it comes to having a conversation, you know, give yourself that time to breathe. Give yourself that time to think. Don't be so reactive. You know what I mean? Honestly, some of you people just need to go take a fucking debate class or something. Like, just learn how to sit down and think for a second before you react to everything. And I'm a victim of that too. Don't get me wrong. A lot of these things that I've said, a lot of these things that I have mentioned are not things that I'm sort of trying to be condescending on. Like, I have gone through all these things, and I still am going through some of these things in different sort of ways that I don't even know how to communicate yet. But the point is I'm putting myself in a position to where I'm accepting that, you know, surrendering to the fact that I'm not perfect. But with that being said, I'm gonna do what I can to try to get close to being perfect, and I'll never achieve perfect. No, none of us ever will. It's not in the human capacity to be able to. But my point is I'm going to keep on trying to become my better self. And I don't even know what that means yet. And none of us probably never will, you know. Just like AJR said in their song, who are we to know who we are? Who are we to know where we're going, you know? And I think that's fun because it'll always keep us curious. And as human beings, that's what all we want is to be curious and to connect. So yeah. And what else do I have to say? I'm a Gemini, so I do enjoy talking. This is true. And I do kind of want to just say, like, thank you to the people that, like, do support me in my channel and the people who do care to listen to what I have to say and my insight. And another thing on this, too, is, like, I know where my YouTube channel is at now, and a lot of it is you guys are my coworkers, you guys are my friends, you guys are people who used to be my friends, used to be my coworkers and things like that. And I just appreciate the support. I appreciate when you guys like do share like my videos out and stuff like that. Like, I really do appreciate it. And with that being said, like, don't think just because I make a video that my words or my thoughts are the end result. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people do. A lot of people look to me as like this source for information and insight. But the thing is I love when people tell me I'm wrong. I love when people will be like, Adam, you posted your video and you said this about something, you said this about something, but I don't necessarily agree, or let's talk about it more, or like, I want to have a conversation. I don't want it to be like I'm just saying stuff on the internet and I think that I'm like, I know everything. Like, what I want is a conversation. I want an ongoing process of information and discussion and learning and all that stuff, because to me, I don't know why, but what exists in me is pure enjoyment out of that. Like, that stuff gives me joy. Like, I love it. Like, that's why I love debate. I will sit there in a debate and I'll be like, fuck, I'm getting, like, this person's ramming my shit right now. But I enjoy it. But yeah. Here's little chia seeds. I had to Google if chia seeds, like, come out in your poop or not, because, like, that happened with corn and it happened with a goji berry. Like, I pooped and I was like, what the hell is that little red puffy thing? I'm like, is that my guts? And it was just the goji berry that I didn't chew all the way. But yeah, holding myself accountable to chew my food more. Hold yourself accountable to do a lot of, hold yourself accountable. The only takeaway I want from this video, and who's to say that I need to even make people have a takeaway from this video, but it's to literally just sit down and ask yourself, what are some things you want to work on and why haven't you gotten them done yet? And stop blaming everybody else in your fucking life. Stop blaming every circumstance, everything that happened in your past, everything that's happened in your current state. Stop blaming everything that you're worried about to happen in the future, and tell yourself right now that you are a powerful, capable, beautiful, awesome, inspiring person that has a lot of potential, and that tell yourself that you're able to hold yourself accountable now because you know who you're going to be in the future, or who you think you want to be, or maybe you don't know yet, but you want to work on yourself. So hold yourself accountable for those things right now. Think about them, write them down. And you don't have to figure that out right now. It could be things you figure out in the next month. It could be things you figure out in the next week. It could be something you figured out while watching this video. It could be something you just figured out right now. Hold yourself accountable, fix yourself, grow. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. You can talk to me. You can talk to your friends. You can talk to one of my friends. My friends are fucking awesome. My friends love talking to people. Follow them on social media. Follow me on social media. But yeah, let's work on ourselves. And then once we've gotten ourselves to a point to where we're confident enough, we trust ourselves enough, then let's work on this world. We got shit to do, guys. So yeah, accountability. Because why? Because we have to. So yeah, with that being said, thank you for watching. If you want to see more content, you already know what to do. I'm not even going to say like this video because that doesn't matter now. I only have 200 subscribers, so likes don't really do anything, I don't think. Add me on Apple Music if you want to talk about music. Message me on social medias, preferably Instagram, because I just like to talk and I like to, you know, so yeah. So with that being said, I don't know when I'm going to post another video, but hopefully next week. But I say that every time and then I don't. But I'm holding myself accountable, so we'll see now. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.